Oh. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the live stream. My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer and a software engineer in St. Paul, Minnesota. How's it going? On this channel, we just do vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that's that. No libraries, no frameworks, not for any other reason other than I enjoy practicing vanilla and I like to promote practicing vanilla because I think it's still an important skill to have when you are a front-end developer. So, how's it going? We got off to a interesting start this morning. My Mr. Coffee machine died, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way, which is mix boiling water with coffee grounds and pour it through a strainer. But we got it done. It's a little bit, there's always a little bit of sludge that goes to the bottom when you use this method. But it's the post-apocalyptic way of making coffee. And good morning. I can see that GoGo Elmo, our mod in the chat, is here. Codex is here. Good morning. Doing well. How are you? Happy to have you all here. Do me a favor, if you haven't yet, go ahead and like the stream, subscribe if you're not already. Listen, the coffee maker not working this morning threw off my entire morning. I feel like I haven't had enough time to adjust to the fact that I had to change my coffee routine this morning. So if I seem a little flustered, that's the reason why. I'll ease into it, I promise. Yeah, like if you haven't already, subscribe if you're new here. I would love to have you. I stream 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. We just hang out for a couple of hours, practice vanilla, and yeah, that's what we do here. It's really all about practice. So if you're a new developer and you're thinking, because I often get the question, how do I get better at this? What do I do? What do I practice? Well, in my case, I practice just building UIs, right? I grab mockups, or in the case of what we're currently working on, I'll make a mockup and we just practice building it. Right now, we're working on a website for something that I'm calling 30 Days of Vanilla JavaScript, where every day in April, I am going to stream. I'm going to stream every day in the month of April, and we're going to do 30 prompts. I am using ChatGPT to give me the prompts because I need to get better at my own JavaScript skills. And so what we're doing now in the lead up to April 1st is we're actually making a website where we can put the prompts and the solutions and any associated UI on this website. And it will be 30 days of vanillajavascript.com. So hopefully you can hang out and join us for that. This is the mockup that we built, and we started working on the HTML yesterday. I would say that we actually got the majority of the HTML done yesterday. And I really want to dig in and just work on the styling today. So that's what we're going to do. So here is our bare bones site. We started doing a little bit of CSS yesterday. We got our folder structure in place for the first 10 days. We asked ChatGPT to tell us what are the first 10 days of prompts going to be. And I did that because I needed to know what I was styling, because I don't want the majority of each day to be spent working on CSS. I want it to be focused on the JavaScript. There will be some CSS, of course. So let's go back here and we can look at, oh, and one moment, please. Hold, please. Okay, so our first 10 prompts, including markup, This gives me a chance to style what I would call kitchen sink HTML, just to sort of have styles ready to go so we're not spending all of our time styling. And we're going to start out nice and easy: button counter, character count, text limit area. And to be honest, some of these things I've done before and I do know how to do. Some of these things I'm like, really? In the first 10 days, you think I can do that? So we'll see how it goes. FAQ accordion. I've made FAQ accordions before. Modal dialogue I've done before. Also, we have to ask ChatGPT about some of the markup that they gave us. Let's keep looking at this list, because I was studying the markup yesterday and I was after the stream and I was like, why does that look like that? A tabs component. I've definitely done that before. Toast notification system. I had no idea what a toast notification system was. It's the little notification that would like pop up in the corner and then disappear. I had no idea that that's what that was called. So that was a new one to me. Filterable list. I have made filterable lists before, but I don't remember I couldn't possibly do that without needing a lot of help. So I'm glad that we're going to work on this. Theme toggle. We just did that on responsive video gallery. So this is actually pretty easy to do because we just did this. This is just like the way I did this was a click event on a button and you add dark. So that means that we're going to have, since we basically have a dark background, we would have to invert the page then, right? But that's good. We'll go ahead and implement that. A theme, wait a second here. Theme toggle, light dark mode toggle. I knew how to do that with local storage because yeah, we do. So if this is dark, we want like a session cookie to remember that and implement that. So I've done that before. Yeah, I'm probably not going to need to do any of this for storing data. Form validation states. I do have a script that I like to use for form validation. It's pretty simple, but there's a lot here. So this is good. We'll do that. And a simple task list. This is the one I'm not sure about, like on day 10. Like, you think I'm going to be able to do this? Okay, I hope, maybe. We'll see. And so here's the kitchen sink HTML that we have. Let's take a look at this in VS Code because I have questions. Okay, here's what I have questions about. Why do the sections have aria labeled by for the headings? Since when do you need an aria label when you have an H2 or any heading inside of a section? So I don't understand this. So we're going to ask ChatGPT why this is, because I don't think that this is necessary. And I think this is a great example of ChatGPT can only give me information that is as good as what it has been trained on. ChatGPT is not always right. Even in my limited JavaScript capacity, I know enough as a front-end developer to know when something doesn't look right and is overkill. And I think this is overkill. So why does each section need an aria labeled by I spelled that wrong. Labeled, hang on. Why does each section need an aria labeled by for the H2? I think that's unnecessary. I don't know. I didn't spell this correctly. You only need it when the label is not obvious or not directly inside the element. Yeah, I know this. You gave me markup with aria labels for the headings. I'm asking you why you did that. Fair question. The honest answer, I defaulted to a safe but noisy accessibility pattern, not the cleanest one for your case. When I generated that markup, I was thinking each section is a logical region. Let's make sure it's explicitly labeled for assistive tech. The pattern is valid, and it's often used in design systems, component libraries, apps where headings might be dynamic or optional. Yeah, this is already semantic, and aria labels shouldn't be used in a way that makes them redundant. HTML is already very semantic and rich with meaning if you use the correct elements. Don't use aria labels if you don't need them. The real issue, and this is the important part, I optimized for defensive accessibility, not clean intentional markup. That's a common trap. Make it explicit everywhere instead of use native semantics unless you actually need aria. You, on the other hand, are thinking like someone who's been doing this for years. Okay? Why am I adding something that doesn't solve a real problem? That instinct is correct. What I'd do if I were tightening this up for your project, strip all of it. Then only introduce aria when you break native semantics. Okay. Okay, that's all I needed to know. So we are going to remove these. Can I do this in a way that is somewhat efficient? I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, I don't want to do it for, what about this? Actually, we need to do this. I don't want to. I think that worked. Yep, that worked. Okay, but what I also want to do is make sure. So this is just such a good example of when you're getting code from ChatGPT. I get it. I totally understand what it's like to get code from any source, let alone ChatGPT, whether it's Stack Overflow or maybe a GitHub repo or something, even just another YouTube channel with a tutorial. It's okay to look at the code and ask questions if something doesn't look right. Just because you're new, you presumably still have some level of knowledge, right? So if you see something that doesn't look right, question it, especially in ChatGPT. Because I just feel like ChatGPT gives me things that are just like overkill or over engineered or sometimes just plain wrong. So let's add a heading to our H2s. So we'll give this a class of secondary heading. And then this demo section, I'm going to change this class name to just plain section. What else here? And then I'm not going to change anything else. I am going to, until we actually get to the task, I'm going to rely on the fact that it helped us out here with some IDs in terms of needing these IDs in order to target with JavaScript. And if we need to change that stuff once we actually get to that prompt or that task, that is completely fine. We can do that then. I'm mostly just focused right now on styling and making sure that the things we need for styling are ready to go. So there's that. And I think this all looks actually pretty good. Yeah, see, these are the things that I would expect to see ARIA labels on. And this is such a good thing to point out right here. Excuse me, ARIA labels, it's my understanding that ARIA labels do not work on divs unless you have a role. That's important. So you can't just slap ARIA labels onto divs and spans. Divs and spans have no semantic meaning at all whatsoever. A div is a block level element. A span is an inline element. That's literally, it's a container that's either block level or inline. That is it. So you can't just add ARIA labels to divs and spans. You have to give them a role, and then you can add an ARIA label. Yeah, and everything else just looks like IDs for the sake of targeting with JavaScript. So that's good. Okay, the other thing that we need to make sure that we're doing, I don't know if we're going to do it today. Let's add it to our QA list. Need to add prism.js for our pre-formatted code and code blocks. And we've done this a couple other times too, so that's not new. So these are kind of done. I'll mark some of these things as done. I'm not sure yet about the additional prompts after 10 or what that kitchen sink code is going to look like then. I'm definitely open to, this is going to be a very Christian Codes approach, more than one stream per day or longer streams if I need more time to style kitchen sink HTML for additional prompts. I'm not sure yet what that's going to look like. So keeping an open mind for this project, they're really, I mean, it's my own project, so I guess I'm kind of making up the rules as I go along. The other thing that we talked about yesterday, or that I talked about yesterday, was having those prompts ahead of time gives me time before the stream starts, not necessarily to code ahead of time, but to read documentation ahead of time so I'm not going in completely blind, because I definitely have a fear of just sitting here in silence trying to solve a problem with people watching me. That feels awkward. So that's going to happen. Like, that's definitely going to happen. But if I could at least read a little documentation ahead of time to get an idea of what the approach should be, I think that would be good. I would like that. So for today, I say we just do the thing that we're actually good at, which is writing CSS. Yesterday, I just went ahead and kind of put some labels here on our little groupings. So let's see what we can get done today. Wait a second here. Wait. Okay. I think this is okay. So I know that I want teal to be the default background. I did make one mistake yesterday, which is that we did our link styles and I included active. I'm actually going to take that out because this is for the links, not the navigation. We also need to get that navigation off to the side. Let's just start with our header. Okay, let's start with our header and start with our custom backgrounds. So we know that we want a body class for navy, red, pink, and purple. So let's just do this. So we'll say body dot navy, background color is going to be navy. And Codex is asking, what did you think of the website I shared with you? I haven't looked yet. I'm so sorry. I meant to look yesterday. I just didn't have time. Sometimes I need a little extra time to get to do things. So I apologize for that. As soon as I look at it, I will tell you what I think of it. I promise. And also thank you for sending it to me. I do appreciate that. And I will look. Please know that sometimes I'm just a little bit slow getting to things. I do my best. I do my best. Okay, so red. And then we've got pink and purple. So that should be as easy as doing this. There we go. Oh, what do we think of that color? Do we want the dark? We'll go with navy. We're gonna go with it. We don't have to use them if we don't want to, right? Whoa. It's an experiment. Oh, I love this. This I love. It's a little bit muted. Yeah, that I love. Maybe we'll go back and look for another blue. There were more muted blues. What does the dark purple look like? Oops. Yeah, we might go back and look at some new colors here if we have time. The pink is a yes. The pink is a yes. We love the pink. The others might be a little bright. That's okay. That's okay. It's an experiment. Okay. Let's get some header styles in here. So I think our header is going to need a wrap. Which means we will also need a wrap class. How wide do we want this to be? We'll go 75 rems, which is what I usually do. And then we'll go from there. If we want to make it a little wider, we absolutely can. Oh. Oh, our main has a wrap also. Do I want the entire main to be in a wrapper? I do not. I would rather put individual sections in wrappers, so I have the option of having full width sections. So I'm going to take that out. That is just not how I would normally do it. There we go. just deal with the header. So we'll give this a rem of padding and a background color of dark teal. That's going to be our default. And then let's also make this display flex, flex flow, row, no wrap. Justify content, space between, align items, center. Oh, and that actually needs to be the header wrap. It's the parent container. There we go. Which means that next we have our social nav. Remove that padding and margin that the browser gives it by default. List style type none to remove the bullets. And I'm also going to do display flex here as well. So we'll say display flex, flex flow, row, no wrap. Justify content. I guess flex end, even though probably center would be fine. And then we'll just give this some gap of 1 rem. And we're definitely going to have to style. Oh, we need to also add our screen reader text. Let's go grab that code. I don't have it memorized, so I usually have to look. Right here. And there we go. That's looking better already. Okay, let's figure out what we're doing with our icons. All right. And I don't usually put classes on the list items or the anchor elements, so we'll just use this parent container. I know that I want the SVGs. I don't want the SVGs to be this big. I think I want them to be, well, 3 rems is 48 by 48. The entire tap target needs to be 48 by 48, but the SVG itself doesn't need to be 48 by 48. So if we just do a width of one rem, a height of one rem, we know that this is a fill. So we'll make these white. Maybe a little bigger. 1.25. Yeah, that looks okay. Excuse me. And then let's give these a little more space. Actually, these aren't going to need more space because we have to add padding. So for the social nav anchor elements are inline elements. I'm going to change that to display block. And then we can add some padding. So if the width is, where's my phone? Where is my phone? Okay. I don't know where my phone is. Have I not looked at my phone at all today? Okay. Really? Have I not looked at my phone at all today? Okay. Can you see I'm just like, I feel a little off today. Okay. So 3 rems minus 1.25, 1.75 divided by 2 is 0.875. So this should be 0.875, and that should give us a perfect 48 by 48. A perfect 48 by 48 tap target. So let's see here. 48 by 48. Yeah, perfect. Okay. That's pretty wide. Maybe doesn't need to. Probably want to have something. Just a little bit of a gap. Yeah, we'll do that. And then we'll say background color is transparent. And Emilio is here. Welcome, Emilio. It's our other mod in the chat. Yeah, April, let's see here. Coding challenge, 30 days of vanilla JavaScript starting in April. I'm going to stream every single day for 30 days. The only thing that's going to stop me from streaming is another sick dog or if my internet goes out. So far, those are the only 2 things that have stopped me from streaming so far. Or if there's a fiber festival, which there aren't any until May, because I always take a day to go do that. But yeah, so 30 days of vanilla JavaScript starting April 1st. We are building the website right now to support the project. I think it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be great. So, okay. So now let's do we'll go ahead and do our focus hover active states. They're not elements, they're pseudo classes. And we're going to transition the background color. Let's transition it to the lightest teal. There we go. Oh, this is awful. Amelia says, my internet has been down at my place for 3 weeks. Some dude dug up and ripped lines in 4 neighborhoods because he was mad at the bill. Oh my God. Yeah, my internet was just down for 5 days. And I was like, I'm just going to tell you, I was starting to feel so dramatic and existential thinking about the fact that I may never get my internet back again. That's terrible. So what, I mean, are they working on it at least? Or do they like have a plan? Do they have it on the calendar? What are you even doing in the meantime? Here's what I did. So I have Mint Mobile, and I have like I had the lowest tier, which is 5 gigs a month data, which I never even used half. And I've had Mint Mobile for at least 3 or 4 years now. Maybe 4 years. I've never used 5 gigs. I've never even used 3 or 4 gigs because I'm home all the time. I'm always on Wi-Fi. And of course, not having internet, I was blowing through my data because I was just streaming on my phone. Like not Netflix, like YouTube, stuff like that. So I had to upgrade to the unlimited plan, but I also got 20 gigs of hotspot data. And as long as I'm not streaming, like trying to go live or streaming content, the Wi-Fi hotspot, or excuse me, the Mint Mobile data hotspot was shockingly good. I had to leave my phone sitting on the windowsill clear across the other end of my apartment in order to like really get the data to work. But I had a very respectable connection, and I could actually be connected and online for several hours just doing like basic web work, like rsync, FTP, things like that. And I could still get work done. I just obviously couldn't stream anything. So that was a good backup plan. And I had my phone so I could like lay in bed and watch my phone or scroll Instagram reels or whatever. That ended up being my backup plan. But after 5 days, I was like, I want my internet back. And Amelia says it should be up by Monday. The dude was mad over $20. Now he is in jail. Yeah, he should be in jail for destroying the infrastructure. I mean, yeah, I was really mad too. I was really mad because it's a horrible feeling to feel like nobody cares, like that you need internet. It's like for me it's a kind of an essential thing, right? Being that I stream and I'm like trying to earn a living out of streaming, but even if I wasn't streaming, I'm still a front-end developer and a software engineer. I need an internet connection to do this job. And it just had me questioning all of my life choices, and it was upsetting because I just felt like quantum fiber didn't care and people weren't taking it seriously. And I don't know, I was not okay. I was not okay. So I'm sorry that that's happening. I'm glad you're going to be back online on Monday, and hopefully you can. I would love it if, obviously, love it if you came to hang out with me on in April for 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, which I think is going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm nervous about it. I'm always nervous when I'm doing something that I'm not really confident about, but it is what it is. I also feel like I kind of just need to work through those feelings. Just feel the feelings, work through it. Ultimately, I'm in control. So nobody's ever been mean to me in the chat about taking too long to do anything. So I don't know why I have a fear of that, but I do. So, and if anybody is mean, then I will just deal with it. So, okay, so let's go ahead and transition this background color. And Emilio, thank you for coming to hang out. And sorry about your situation. That sucks. So we're going to transition the background color. Let's also I like to just put like a little tiny border radius of 5 pixels on my icons. There we go. And we could transition the SVGs if we want to. We could try it and see how it looks. So we would be transitioning the fill. So let's grab these. So when we focus, we want to trigger that SVG. When we hover, we want to trigger the SVG. And then when it's active, we want to trigger the SVG. And then we would change the fill to, I guess, dark teal. Not sure if that's accessible. Well, it would be accessible against the white, right? And then let's add the same timing to the SVG. So we're going to transition the fill 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. Oh, yeah, no, it's probably not accessible. Let's skip this. We'll just transition that background. I think that's enough because it's not white. There we go. And then let's make sure that our header is sticky. And I'm also going to give it maybe a little bit of a text shadow. I don't know if we need that, but so let's do position sticky. And I think we do need to say top 0 left. Do we need to? I don't know. I'm going to with 100%. There we go. Do we need a shadow? I don't know if we do. I think that looks probably fine. And Amelia says, I will definitely be watching. It worked out though. Just got a motorcycle, so it gave me time to practice before my Midwest tour at the end of the summer. Oh, there was a time in my life that I desperately wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Now I'm a little bit scared of motorcycles, but I have so many fond memories of being on the back of a motorcycle, riding through the countryside with friends at a much younger age. But so stay safe, but also enjoy yourself. That sounds incredibly fun. What does position sticky do? So position sticky makes so the header is sticky. There's two ways that you could do this. There's sticky and there's fixed. If we did fixed, it would take it out of the flow and it would fix it against the HTML document, but you would see all of this drop underneath this. Position sticky sticks it to the document, but it doesn't take it out of the flow, so the content won't drop up underneath it. So position sticky is pretty nice. It's very handy. I use position sticky. Well, it just depends on the situation. Sometimes maybe if you have like a hero header, you could make your heading a little bit transparent, drop that image up underneath with fixed, and with a little bit of transparency, it's a nice effect. But sometimes you just want to keep everything in the flow and you don't want to have to account for pulling things out of the flow either. So sticky comes in very handy. Just depends on your design, I guess, and what your goal is. But yeah, I use sticky a lot. Gundo is here. Hello, how are you? I'm doing well. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming to hang out. Okay, where are we at now? Yeah, I guess that's it. Header. Done. Well, how's this going to look on mobile? Not very good. Although, that's pretty, it was zoomed in. And that's not too bad, right? We could probably scrunch these together a little bit more, and we can make that SVG, we could definitely make that SVG. Let's see here. So here's our primary logo. I don't think we have any styles for the primary logo. How much you want to bet? So the primary logo, so right now the SVG is just styled by our default styles, which are, we have a fixed width and a fixed height. So what if we treated this a little bit more like an image? It's already display block. So what if we said max width 100%, height auto, because it's a perfect square. Yeah, there we go. So that gives us that honestly kind of makes it an ideal header, just like that. And then let's, I mean, I don't know, should we just take this gap out? I mean, that's kind of it right there, isn't it? We still have our tap target. There you go. Responsive header. Doesn't get any simpler than that. Okay. What's next? Header is done. So, I'm just going to take the navigation out of the flow and paste it over off to the side, and we'll figure out a way to deal with it. Let's get it out of the flow though. Let's give this a wrap div, the class of wrap. I would just much rather have, I would rather have individual sections have a wrap than the whole document have a wrap. That just is the way I would prefer to do this. Okay, I'm going to take navigation out of the flow. Let's just add these then. You can use any approach that you want. This is just the one that I prefer. And I am going to put a wrap around the footer. Okay. Okay, so I have to decide now. So if this was mobile nav, I would just take this and fix it off canvas. I guess I'm going to do that, except it will be on Canvas for desktop, and then we'll just scooch it off to the left. So it's not going to be a true sidebar. I'm having a little trouble visualizing what I'm going to do here. So navigation, we're going to do position fixed. I guess top 0. Do I want it under the header or over? I don't know. Top 0. So I'm just going to say a width of 300 pixels. I have found that it is a much better approach to style your off-canvas navigation with the fixed width and then just do max width 100%. It just seems to work better. Height 100 DVH, which stands for Dynamic Viewport, which will help you on an actual mobile device when, in the case of an iPhone, you have a header and basically a footer that's part of the browser UI that disappears or reappears based on whether or not you're scrolling. So it has nothing to do with your website. It's just part of the browser UI. Dynamic Viewport helps with some of that weirdness when it comes to fixed heights. So I like to use that. And then we're going to say transform, translate X. So X is horizontal, the X axis. We're basically going to set this at 0. And then let's give this we'll give this the same background color as the header, and then you won't notice that it is under, over, next to. That's a good idea. I just thought of that. So we'll do dark teal and then probably a Z index of 1. So there we are. We'll give this, I think this needs to be a little bit wider. I don't think 300 is going to cut it. So let's do maybe 320. And then let's work on the list part of this. I think this is actually gonna work pretty well, actually. A nice fixed sidebar. Yeah. Okay. So main nav. I'm gonna remove the browser default padding and margin, and we'll say list style type none to remove the bullets. There we go. And then let's give this a little bit of padding, like maybe just a rem of padding. Give it a little space. Perfect. No one is here. Also a mod in the chat. Welcome. Thank you for coming to hang out with us today. It's quiet today. Yesterday was quiet too. Today is very quiet. I mean, I'm not complaining or anything like that. I know it's a major holiday right now in other countries, other religions. I totally get that. And there are just some weekends are slower than others. And that is just fine. Okay. Oh, is today the first day of summer? I feel like the first day of summer makes streams always a bit more quiet. I mean, sometimes we have streams that are just like rip-roaring, non-stop action. Is today the first day of summer? I know Easter's coming up. I'm not a particularly religious gal. I know I'm pretty sure that my dad is going to be cooking on Easter, so I'll go over in the afternoon. But yeah, next weekend is Palm Sunday. following Friday, Good Friday. So yeah, I'm sure that this will be Passover starting on the 1st. I'm sure that it will be quiet, and that is just fine. No problemo. I am learning that YouTube, you have to just be consistent and show up consistently. Sometimes it's going to be really busy, sometimes it's going to be a little bit quiet. The thing that matters is that you're just consistently here showing up. Um, yeah, you just have to consistently be here showing up. This only works if you're here consistently. So, and Emilio says, the heat is definitely here. Got my first nosebleed of the season. Oh, you have nosebleeds from heat? So you're in Nebraska. I know you're in Nebraska. I'm in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. We had a nice day yesterday. It was like maybe in the 70s. I think we got up to 70s. It is back down. It is very cool today. The temperature right now. Temperature in St. Paul. 36 degrees Fahrenheit. So, yeah. We're back down into nice cool weather. I don't mind 36. I can sleep in 30. I had the window open all night last night and it was glorious. It felt really good. So, oh, wrong guy. Did I say the wrong name? What did I say? No one says, I don't like weather in my country, is the other thing. I'm too desperate to move to another country. Oh, did I say Malik? I should have said Emilio. Sorry about that. Wrong guy. My apologies. Thank you for letting me know. Emilio was talking about the heat. I'll go back to coding. I'll just go back to coding. Okay. So here is our navigation. Do we need like a heading here or something? I don't think so. We'll keep going. Let's just keep going. We're definitely going to want to make sure. How are we going to do this? At some point, we're going to have to. So this is pretty wide right here. So 18, literally 1850. How are we going to deal with our screen size and this navigation? I don't know. Angular docs. So here's a fixed navigation, right? How do they deal with this? So clearly this is, I bet they're using columns. Okay, so here's a list. Okay, so what is this? Sticky. Okay, this is sticky. This is also sticky. Sticky. And then what is this? Ah. Display flex, flex direction column, min height. So this then is display flex. Yeah, to make it okay. So even though this is sticky and this is sticky, the parent container is still display flex, which you have to do in order to make sure that this is flex direction column with 100% to make it flexible. And then these I don't really see a fixed width here. Okay. So that would mean that we would want, I think we would want main to be display flex. But I don't want this heading the heading and all the sections. I feel like all of these sections are going to need to be in their own container in order for that to work. And I feel like this heading just needs to be an H1 that comes. Well, no, we would put the container around the nav and all of the sections, and then that would be the parent container, and we would give them columns, and then this would be sticky, so it would still be part of the flow. Got it. Audit. Got it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So we're going to do this. So we're going to say div. I'm going to call this the flex container, because why not? And then we're going to wrap it all the way around. So there's our navigation. So let's do this. Flex container. Display flex. Flex direction, row, align items, flex start. Okay, that makes sense. Flex direction. Well, I usually do flex flow, row, no wrap. Align items, flex start. Not worried about the height. There's no justify content, so I'm not going to add that. And then the navigation would actually be position. This would actually be position sticky to the parent container, right? And then we need to make sure that I think I have to make sure then that this is going to be, does have to be position relative. Oh, Flex container, navigation. Why aren't you sticky? I think these also have to be inside of a container div. Section container. There we go. Okay, and now we are properly sticky. But I want this moved up. But if I put this inside of the Flex container, these are going to be aligned in row. Couldn't I just make everything columns? No, I don't want everything to be columns. I still want this to be on top of this. Yeah, because that's pushing it over to the side. Oh, I think, can't I just do... Can I just do this? There we go. There we go. So this is going to scroll, when the parent container scrolls out of view, which it does once we get down to the footer, that also starts to scroll out of view. But the footer is really big right now. What happens here? The footer is part of this. So that makes me feel like the Flex container, I feel like the Flex container needs to be around main and footer. No, I only want it to be around well, let's keep going. I feel like this is something we can adjust. We need to do more styling because things are wildly the wrong size right now. And then now we're getting this. So we need to take out the max width. We don't want that anymore because we want that fixed width to not... Okay, why are you doing that? I want you to just be a fixed width. Okay, why are you doing that? Oh, probably because I don't know why you're doing that. You shouldn't be moving. Why are you moving? Don't move. Probably because I need to I think when you do Flexbox you can't just give one thing a width, you have to give both a width. So I think I want this to be 100% minus 320. Yeah. So what is the other thing? The section container. These are the two things. So flex container, and then the navigation is 320. And then we'll do the section container. The width is going to be a calculation, 100% minus 320. There we go. That's what I want. Oh, look at that. Look how nicely that lines up there. Nice. Okay. I mean, what I really want to do is I want to put the footer, I want to put like the whole entire footer inside the section container, which would that be wrong if the section container already has its own header? Are we allowed to do this? I need to optimize this a little bit. It's driving me crazy. Is it okay to have the site footer inside the main? I would really like to do this. It would make my life easier. I want to make sure that I'm being semantically correct. That's what I want. And then let's adjust the z-index of this. This is turning out to be a little more complicated than I thought it would be, but also more interesting. Let's give it a z-index of 1. I think that'll take care of it. There we go. Let's ask this question. We'll ask this question. Is it okay to put a footer? Is it okay to put the site footer inside the main element? It works better for styling my layout, but I don't know if it's semantic. Short answer, don't put the site footer inside main. Why? Main is meant to contain only the primary content of the page. Okay. I honestly don't need to read this. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's do this. Take this out. Maybe the site footer just has the copyright statement. And that can be, whoops. Maybe the site footer just has the copyright statement, and that's also going to be dark green. And then maybe this aside can be the author bio, and that's inside here. And we wouldn't need I don't think we'd need a wrap then. We'll do this instead. That'll work. And then let's just make sure that this has, so this sits literally in between the header and the footer. I think we just need to make sure that this has like enough padding, so even when it maybe starts to scroll past, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I think I think we're on the right track. And welcome. Thank you for coming to hang out. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks Emilio. I appreciate that. I feel like I feel like this is coming along. It is coming along. I'm not going to worry too much more about the layout. I think we should just go ahead and keep styling. We can definitely refine our layout. I don't know how I feel about this moving around here. Like maybe we would want to just have it in the corner. Well, maybe we don't need a wrap for the header. There we go. Yeah, that looks, oh, which means that we need to put this back here. Yeah, that actually looks really good. But I think I want the header to be over top of the nav item. So how can we do that? Can we just increase the Z index? Yes, we can. Okay, this is getting much closer to what I want. And then I think to deal with that going underneath, I think we just need to give the navigation element a little more padding on top and bottom. So how big is the header? The header is, so it's 80 pixels tall. And I feel like that math kind of works out. So if we know that we made the logo and the icons for that matter 3 rems by 3 rems, we know that that's 48 pixels. And then there's a rem on top and a rem on bottom, so that would be 24. So 48 plus, no, 32, 16 plus 16 equals 80. So that's 5 rems of padding plus 1. So 6 rems of padding. So we would want 6 rems of padding on the top and bottom, 1 on the left and right. It's always going to scroll past in the container. I'm not quite sure. I understand what's happening here. I understand like the mechanics, the rules of sticky. Just not sure how to get around it in order to get it to do what I want it to do. I'm not sure. So let's just keep styling and not worry about it right now. I keep saying that and then I keep worrying about it. Okay, let's just keep going. And then here's our flex container. So let's give this a little bit of gap there, right? So maybe a gap of 2 rems, or we could just give that container some padding. No, the gap works. We're good with gap. Okay, so how does this look? And then let's give our aside a div with a wrap class. Yeah, I guess this works. This is in the center, right? Is this in the center or is this off kilter? I guess it is. Yeah, it is. Well, is it? It's in the center of this section. That's why it feels off. So if we just don't center the wrap, this is going to be off to this side. And Malik says, it looks centered to me since the content is left aligned. Yeah. I don't know what I think. I kind of like this too. Angela, stop. I think I need to stop worrying. And see, they just went ahead and said, we're going to make this nice little skinny column here and have all this space. Although I'm looking at this on a really big screen, right? So if I blow this up maybe to 150, which is pretty close to a normal laptop size, here's what you get. Let's keep it the way it is. I actually am happy with the layout that we have so far. We need to do some refinements. I'm on a big screen, so if I were going to go up here to about 150, I mean, first of all, this list is not as long as I thought it would be. So we scroll a little bit past for the footer, which I think is fine. I think this is probably what this would look like on a laptop, right? So we have a little extra space here, but that's okay. So I think that we just need to style and not worry about it. Okay, so let's make sure that, let's reverse engineer our nav links a little bit. Despite my consternation right now, this is going well. Main nav, the anchor elements, so we want to do it a little bit reverse. So I want the text decoration color to be transparent. And I want the focus hover active. I want the focus hover active to be the white underline. Text, decoration, color, white, and then we're going to transition this. Well, the transition might still be in effect. Yep, it is. And then let's make sure that our active class is here. Main nav. There we go. Yeah. So for now, I'm just going to stick with one rem until I sort of nail down how I want to deal with because when you do position sticky is a great way to make something fixed, air quotes fixed, without taking it out of the flow. But when the parent container scrolls off screen, then the thing that's sticky also scrolls off screen. That's the main difference. Well, that's one of the, I guess, downsides of using position sticky, as great as it is. Now, what I do like about this is that this whole list, for the most part, fits on screen. So I had asked ChatGPT, take myself off here. I asked ChatGPT, like, hey, so let's say I'm on day 20 and this day 20 is active, could I make sure that this was scrolled to the top? I don't think we need to do that here because this list isn't as long as I thought it would be. We'll just make sure that the whatever day we're on is active and we have like this "you are here" underline, right? So I think for the most part, this works well. And if this is a little bit, I mean, maybe this is just how it works. Hang on, I want to go back. I want to look at the angular. No, angular. Yeah, see, they don't really have a header, right? Or a different header. That's why that's not an issue here. And this is a really long list, so it does scroll within the container. We are going to need to make sure that ours does scroll within the container because on mobile, let's go. Yeah. Okay. Angela, just start styling elements, for God's sakes. Perfection is the enemy of done. Yes. Perfection is the enemy of done. We just need to keep going. And honestly, this does look really good. So, it does look good. I'm happy with the layout, so let's just style the frickin' things. Okay, so here's our H1. We are going to worry about this later. I'm not going to start worrying about mobile styles right now because it's going to be very difficult to test mobile functionality if everything is overflowing and flowing off screen and breaking the layout. So this is one of those times where you're just better off getting the desktop nailed down and then going back and refining your mobile styles. And we obviously need to make sure that on mobile, this is completely off canvas and we have a hamburger menu to open this up for mobile. So But I do like the size of this. I'm good with the size of this. So, okay. So our H1 page title. So we'll call this the main header. This is the page title. I put this in a span because I want this to be block level and I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, and I want whatever day one the thing is, I want that to be dropped to the second line. So I'm going to do page title span, display block, font size. What's the font size now? The font size is 2 M's. So let's go ahead and clamp this. So probably for mobile, we could say 1.5 rems. And then for desktop, we'll try 3 rems. And then this would be 4 VW for viewport width. We'll see if that works. I like that. And I like that it's left aligned and not centered. Let's make sure that our description isn't too wide. So here's the page intro. Oh, I suppose I should check and see if it's somewhat mobile. That means that we also need to do a clamp for just page title. So we know that this is really big. So this we would want to be smaller. So maybe we would want that to be 1.1 rems. And then, what is it now? Probably also 2 M's. We'll make this 2 rems, and then we'll make this 3 viewport width. There we go. Can we clamp this gap? So maybe on mobile, this would be 0.5 rems. And then maybe for desktop, it would be 2 rems. So what would that be? 3 VW for the in-between size? We'll stick with this for now. We may have to come back to this. It's going to be tough to test because that's not responsive yet, but we'll do this for now. I think that definitely we'll definitely come back and refine that. But so far, so good. Okay, the page intro. I think this should also be clamped because I think our default size is, oh, I didn't put in a font size. I normally put, you really should put in a font size, 100. What's that going to do? Nothing. So the default font size for this font, it's pretty big. I mean, I remember in the mock-up, I did 32 pixels. Although I'm also zoomed in right now. I mean, do we want to make this bigger? I mean, this is what I did on the this was the size that I used for the mock-up. Do we want to make the default size bigger, or do we want to just do it on a case-by-case basis? So if I set it to 125%, that means the one rem is going to be 20 pixels. This to me is pretty small at normal desktop size, which is why I made it bigger. I think it's better to set it to 100% and then just change the size. But as much as I want to change it on the body, it's just going to change the math. Only as it relates to the font size, though. Not to anything else. But does it? Because if I say one rem for anything else, what is that using? Is that using the font size as the calculator? That's such a good question. I don't even know. Oh, let's ask this question. If I set the font size on the body to 125%, that is 20 pixels. So if I use 1 rem for padding, is that also 20 pixels? Yes. If you're using rem, it will... Wait, what? If you're using rem, it will not follow the body size. What actually happens, rem based on the root HTML font size, m based on the current element's font size, which would include body. Okay, so one okay, practical advice. Leave the root alone, then scale using rems. Setting body to the font size of 125%, expecting rems to follow it. It won't. Rem, always tied to HTML. Body, font size does not affect rem. Okay, so if I have the font size on the body, I don't trust ChatGPT, so we just need to check and see what happens here. If I change the font size to 125% on the body, and then I say, we'll do this, and then I say paragraphs, font size 1 rem, it would appear that this is 16 pixels. Interesting. So if I set the font size on HTML, interesting. Okay, ChatGPT was right. Now it's 20 pixels. I did not know that. Which would also mean that any place else I use rems for spacing, like in our header, so here's our header, 20 pixels. Okay, so I'm just going to do font size 100%. And we will set our paragraph text to 1.25. Just going to make it a little bit bigger. And then everything else we'll just set individually if we need to. It does need to be a little bit bigger. This is pretty small. So I'm going to change this as well. But that's good to know. That was a fun little experiment, I guess. So we're going to do the same thing here. Font size 1.25 rems. There, that makes it a little bit bigger. We might want to make this container a little wider as well. Whoops. I think we're going to want to give this a little bit of a little extra line height also. We'll bump that up to 2. There we go. A little more readable. And then let's make this a little wider. So what if this was 400 pixels? Which means we have to adjust that. There we go. I'm going to change this to 1. You know what? I'm just going to change this to 1 rem. What? Why isn't that changing? Oh, because this, wait. Oh, because the wrap, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about taking this margin out of the wrap. Is that going to look weird? Angela. I'm going to take it out. We'll just do this for now. We'll see how it goes. I kind of like having it over here right up against. Are we ready to call it a day? I'm exhausted from all this decision making. I think I'm done. I think I'm done for today. Yeah, that's okay, right? Um, Everybody, thank you for coming to hang out with me. It was a slow day. Um, I feel like I was just here making poor decisions. Let's change the background color of our footer. Next. There we go. There we go. Maybe 2. I think this will be actually just fine up against the side here. Because not everybody's going to look at this on a big giant screen like I am. And honestly, it probably is better to not make that decision um, until everything actually is styled. And I keep saying that, but I need to like really do it. So Malik thinks I got a lot of work done. I think I got some good work done. So thank you for saying that. That I am pleased that we kind of figured out this layout, because I did once yesterday morning. I was like, I think that we really need to make sure that the page doesn't load with all of these days in a big group at the top of the page. So I think that that was a good decision to figure this out. And we haven't really done a layout like this before. So, and it's a good challenge. Emilio, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Good luck getting your internet back. Appreciate that. I'll send you my motorcycle channel later if you're interested. Going to vlog trips around the Midwest. Yes, please do. I will absolutely promote the vlog channel. And if you find yourself in Minneapolis or St. Paul, come on. We should get a cup of coffee or something, right? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I appreciate you all. Do me a favor, if you haven't yet, go ahead and like the stream. It helps the algorithm. It helps push this type of content out to more people who might be interested in it. Today was a slow day, but that's okay. We did get a lot done. We did get a lot done. And this gives me a little time to think about things between now and Tuesday. I'm here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to come hang out with me on Instagram, Codex, I promise you I'm going to look at your link today. Yesterday, I had some things I was working on the afternoon, so I apologize that I didn't get to it. I promise you I will look at it. If you want to come hang out with me on Instagram, my handle is Angela J. Holden. And of course, everything that we're working on from now until April 1st is in preparation for the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript, where I'm going to stream every day for April. We're going to do a JavaScript prompt every single day, build the UI, make sure it's deployed to our 30 days of vanilla JavaScript.com site that we are currently building. And Emilio says that he might be here in August. That would be so cool. Have you been to Minneapolis or St. Paul before? I have driven through Nebraska. I drove through Nebraska once when I was moving to San Diego. I don't think I drove through Nebraska on the way back. I took a different route, more southerly through Texas, up through Oklahoma. I remember I did it in January. It was very cold, and I remember that it was very flat and very windy. So yes, you have a good day as well. Thank you to Emilio, Malik, No One, our mods in the chat. Thank you to Codex. I will look at your link today, I promise. We had a couple other folks here. Thank you so much to everybody. Come back on Tuesday, and I will see you then. Amelia says, I have when I did nationals in swim team for college. Yeah, it's a nice city. I do like it here. St. Paul, I like St. Paul. So, all right, everybody, have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.